Let's begin setting up our new company in our QuickBooks software. To set up a new company in QuickBooks, we're going to be following this Easy Step interview. The Easy Step interview makes setting up a new company in QuickBooks very easy. It asks us what it needs when it needs it. We simply fill in the interview and follow the steps. And don't worry, if the interview takes a long time for you to complete, you can leave and come back. The interview remembers right where you were. Okay, let's get started. When you begin the Easy Step interview, this screen has 5 sections over here. Each section has some tabs that we're going to be working through. So let's begin by clicking on Next and going through the Welcome tab. We click a few times. The Welcome tab explains what's going to be happening during the interview. Okay, let's get started. Here is our company name. This is the company name as you would like it to appear on invoices, statements, and reports. So in other words, if you're a DBA, you would put the DBA name here. We're going to put our parent company name of Super Support Inc. That's also our legal name. Next, now we want to put our address. Private mailbox 333 Now we're on the state field. Notice when we put a C, California automatically comes up. Let's look at a different state. Let's say we're in Texas. So we type a capital T. Now you would think we could just type an X and that would take us to Texas. But that's not the case. It won't work. To get to Texas, simply hit the T again and it takes us down through the list of the T's. So remember this little trick when you're working in drop-down menus, especially with states. And you just continue hitting the first letter and it's going to take you through that sequence of states. Okay, we have our company information filled in. Let's click on Next. Here's the federal tax ID number. Unless you have employees, you may not have a federal tax ID number. If you don't have a federal tax ID number, use the Social Security number for the owner or primary individual in the business. Ours is 75. Now, let's talk about our income tax year and our fiscal year. For the vast majority of QuickBooks users, these are both the same. Notice this is the first month of the fiscal year. Okay, so that means that if we're on a calendar year, so our year ends December 31st, then our first month is January. If we're on a fiscal year, let's say for example that our year ends June 30th, then the first month of our year would be July. So that is true for us. We're going to click on Next. Here, what income tax form does our company use? This is for linking purposes. For example, if you're using an income tax software product like TurboTax, QuickBooks will link information from your financial statements and automatically export it into TurboTax. If you don't intend to do this, simply click Other. We're going to click Other because we use an outside accounting firm to process our income tax return. Okay, here is where we're going to begin to tell QuickBooks a little bit about our business. By telling QuickBooks about our business, it helps the software set up our chart of accounts and some other preferences. Super Support is a retail business. So we're going to select Retail and click on Next, Next again, and now QuickBooks is ready to create our company file. Let's click on Next, and QuickBooks gives it a file name and tells us where it's going to save it on our system. We recommend that you not change this destination where QuickBooks wants to save your company file. Let's click on Save, and now all the work we've done up to this point is now saved on our system and our company file has been created. Until this point, we hadn't saved our new company file. Okay, now we're going to begin to work through our chart of accounts. Because we told QuickBooks that we're a retail business, QuickBooks assigned these chart of accounts for us. We want to use these chart of accounts, so we're going to select Yes and click Next. Here we want to tell QuickBooks whether or not we're going to be multi-user. We have 5 people in our organization that need to access QuickBooks. Here, QuickBooks begins to introduce us to users and passwords. Our company info is now completed. Next, we can move on to preferences. It's the end of the day, and we don't want to get into preferences yet. So we want to show you how you can leave the interview method, and QuickBooks will remember where you were, and when we open this company again, it'll bring us right back to the Easy Step interview to where we left off. Simply come down here and click on Leave. Let's cancel out of this for now. We don't want to get into setting up users and passwords yet. And now I can exit out of QuickBooks and then come back in, and it'll remember right where I was before. Okay, we exited QuickBooks and we came right back in again. It's the next morning and we're ready to resume our Easy Step interview. So let's just click here on the File pull-down menu and let's come down to Easy Step Interview. And you can see we're right back in the Preferences section, which is where we left off before.